時間を決めよう一日どれくらい宿題は終わらせたかな相談をしようやりたいゲームは未来にあといるかな約束を守って楽しいゲームがいつもより楽しくなるよ
ゲームはルールを決めてから
東京ゲームショウ2021オンラインをご覧の皆様、こんにちは。ここからのお時間は主催者番組をお送りいたします。それではどうぞ。
皆さんおはようございます。
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tokyo Game Show 2021 online. We're going to present a special program for you. As we announced earlier, we invited Sakaguchi-san from Mistwalker and Naoki Yoshida from Square Enix. There will be a special talk between the two for you. And as today's moderator from Kadokawa Game Linkage Famitsu Group, my name is Hayashi. Thank you for having me today. So for the sake of time, I want to introduce the two guests today. So they will be participating remotely. So first from Yoshida-san. Well, I think you're already very familiar with him. He's the producer and the director of Final Fantasy XIV, and he is currently working on Final Fantasy XVI as producer. And also, just so you know, we will not announce any new information regarding the latest series for Final Fantasy. So Yoshida-san, can I have some words from you? Good morning. I'm director and a producer for Final Fantasy XIV. My name is Yoshida. Thank you for having me today. Thank you. I think there was some audio trouble here. I hope the audience had heard the... there are people asking me if I'm at home or at the studio. I'm in my office. All right, let's move on to Sakaguchi-san. So he's a creator of the Final Fantasy series and also the Blue Dragon and a lot of representative works from him. And now he's working on Fantasian. Sakaguchi-san is joining us from Los Angeles today. Hi from Los Angeles, but aloha. My name is Sakaguchi. Thank you for having me today. So, all right. It's a Famitsu presence for this program, and personally, I'm also very into the talk between you two. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. So without further ado, we would like to kick off the talk.
So for the first time, I think it's the first time for you to have this crosstalk at this open platform. Could you have your connections, a history of connections between you guys? Probably first, before I met him once for the first time, probably the introduction with our friend. I think this just before the approval, or I think it's just say hello to him and have a dinner with him. Thank you for that day. I actually had the comments of the FF14, what should I do? And it's for you, up to your business. So it's not my business at all. So I just applied it reply to him. At the time of approval, I think you had some thought or asking to him, right? Actually, at that time, I personally, before entering this company, I had a personal connection with him. So I had many, just before having the approval, probably I should say hello before establishing anything. So I just decided to do so after achieving what I'm doing, what I want to do. And I thought everything is ready. So that's why I went him to say hello. Probably that was the first time for you guys to see each other, right? Yes, at that time, suddenly, he had his hands, that's a number of rings with his fingers. I was so surprised to see that. Actually, he didn't change a lot, even now. At that time, have you feel so nervous about it? Yes, it was because he's a legend of the legend, I should say. But once you have talked to each other, have you changed his image or something? Yes, actually, his first impression is he's so kind person, a nice person. Probably I was so nervous, so that's why he probably tried to be so kind to me. That's why I think it's really pleasure. Probably for the first time since you met each other, right? Yes, you're right. Actually, it's really a long time with us to talk to each other. So today's theme is the attractions and possibilities of the RPG. That's really applicable for everything, I think. But because this is a good chance for you guys, so why not have a frank talk? So basically, naturally, of course, you are producing works, titles, and Sakaguchi-san recently are releasing Fantasian. And Yoshida-san, from your viewpoint, what's the attractions or image of Sakaguchi-san's works? Could you tell me what are you thinking? Is it okay to ask him with my honest thought? Actually, it's vice versa, so the same goes with you as well, right? It's okay. Why not have a frank talk? I actually played his works, and right now, because I had a really good chance right this, and I didn't talk that much before this meeting, because what I wanted to ask you is, I myself, as a producer of the games, why did you have the diorama of the Fantasians? That's a really iconic one you are making. As a producer, it's really hard to have a diorama beforehand. And then after having the diorama, why did you have this thought? What made you to think like that? It's really hard. So the hardest one, that's why I decided to do so. It's not, of course, creating the works itself, it's really hard. But of course, sometimes some colors are dropping, or diorama has many troubles to create, and suddenly the scenes are different. So it's really an analog style because it's created by the clay. So, and also basically it's high time to, and recently we can have a high resolution pictures, and the theme itself is really chaotic one. So I just want to be back to the original retro type one. And also, of course, we can have the combination between the CG or new style, state-of-the-art technology. So now that everything is achieved, so I think the diorama creation itself, of course, you can order some partners in the studio. So you have already created the mock-up with the 3D technologies? No, I haven't done that. It's a conceptor and 2 or 3 pictures, and clay itself. That's the one we created, how we created the diorama. And, of course, the scenario have already prepared, right? Yes, it's already created. And once we have the diorama, And then finally, it's time to go. And then after having the diorama, we can have the scenario to attach, accommodate them. It's a steps to do it. So right now, it's really hard to create the 3D scenes as well. But on the other hand, 3D, it's really easy to modify even once we create it. But the clay itself, it's really difficult to modify, even though you can have some, some parts to modify. The clay itself is difficult to do so. And the directions here is just a scene or a scenario can be modified to accommodate the image of the diorama. So I want to have the sense of the creation by my hand and achieve it all at once with my hands. So of course, once we replace the background of the game to diorama, and once we do it, the scenes of the games, display of the games, of course, we have some creations or effects of the pause filter. How do you do it? Once we have a picture, once we take a photos, we should pay attention to the lighting. And sometimes we can have the LED lighting facilities. Once we have this facility, we try to change the angles to have it. So basically, that's what I'm doing. The CG cannot make it, so that's why I choose that one. So basically, the diorama creators make them by themselves without asking me. So that's why I decided to modify by our side. So for example, the smartphone spec, I think there are a number of things to accommodate the smartphone spec because it's a mixture. The mixture of the technologies are really difficult to adapt the smartphone's platform. So I myself love really games and the smartphone devices. It's really difficult for me to play with the smartphone devices because of the lack of the platform, the specifications. And as for the producers, sometimes we can pile up the scenes of the battles, and then sometimes we have the concept. Sometimes this time the concept is the classical type of the graphics, but on the other hand, the current generations, young people, want to have some kind of scenes which is not like this. So in that sense, how can you make it? So I myself wanted to make the one I want to create. That's the style that I'm now doing it. So even though we have the encounting, so I want to walk the scene. That's why I decided to change the scenes, what I'm like. So I try to create the scenes one by one. So that's not the timing that we have a battles. Is that the one you think? Yes, that's the time that I want to walk. So that's why I create the scenes to walk, the characters walking. So the gaming, for example, when you select the target, you of course need to think about these points of effectiveness, and sometimes you need to change the scheme of the battles. Right, that's the one I try to be hard. So the first setting is, of course, the character is walking, and while the character is walking, you are trying to create one by one from the step. That's not the good things that I work as a producer. So, for example, the first, the creator is thinking about the speed of the waving, the casting the balls or something. And after having the calculations, they can create one with the scenario. But I just try to create what I'm thinking and why I'm thinking. So that's why everything is changed sometimes. So sometimes you need to think about, is that okay to switch, or is that okay? Sometimes the timing is really difficult because everything is based on the calculations. But to do so, while you are playing, you are slightly changing while I'm playing. Yes, you are right, because the scene, even though the scene is really orthodox and a bit later type, but I think it's okay. But I think, of course, the turns of the orders is really like what you're thinking. So it's really like tactical battles, I think. So now I should say it's a classic one, but even so, it's really current type, I should say. Like it's easy to handle the characters. So you can have the balance between the two, I think. And also, could you tell me the actual terms of creations? I think it's 3 years. From the beginning of the creation of the scenarios to the release. I think it's a little bit fast-paced than others, but I'm doing while I'm operating. What about the FF14? The original data is about 11 years, and once you have renewed, and then probably 8 years has already passed. So this time, Sakaguchi-san, you have already started Final Fantasy XIV. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to play, but now I decided to play because I'm so absorbed in MMO. That's why I decided not to, but now I just started playing it. But I actually recommended other staffs to play it now. Because I was so absorbed with it, that's why I decided not to. But now I think I'm really crazy about it right now. And even I focus on the Chocobo. It's really cute. He's really cute. So now you can see the screenshot of Chocobo. The crystal, Final Fantasy I. What is it? I thought. It's like the character of the YouTube. So that's crystal that I found it. So this scene, I thought, why Sakaguchi-san decided to choose Ralph? I was wondering about it. At the time, I decided Ghost. So it's so small. So even every time I regret that I have chosen the different characters that I should have chosen. So every time it's really difficult to see, and sometimes it's not visible for me. So sometimes I feel at a loss to play the games. And for myself, the Sakaguchi-san and Matsuo-san are the 2 legends for me in this world. So I really thank you, and it's really appreciated. And the interface is like this, and everything is like I was ordered to show every icons among on the displays. Once you open the room and Sakaguchi-san's placings are shared and talk, that Sakaguchi-san, please don't do it. I was always ordered by him. It's really hard style teaching method, I think. So once I put this UI, then I can see that my rankings and etc. I was ordered. It's really difficult to operate, but it's a good opportunity for me to do so. So MMO14, how did you feel? It's really interesting. I found it. Among the field, you can see the users, and everyone can, communicate with each other in the battlefields, and why not have a picture? And it's possible actually. So even though they are joining remotely, but we can share some thoughts or ideas or platform among the players. That's a good thing. I feel the features of the MMO, I think the games, the old one, it's easy to change somehow. But for example, you can play in whatever you like. As for the retro games, but right now I have a sense of kindness, or I have a feel of attachment. Then I can restart the games again now. So I think that's what I'm trying to do. So EQ or Precuma I played before. That's really chaotic, both titles. But anyone can share. I think in the past we cannot share that time like this, like today's one. So there are a number of dead people we battled before. So it's really chaotic scenes before. It's really a sense of disparity that's really hard. Thinking about the past games, it was easy to accommodate or easy to operate, but the rule itself was so complicated as for the retro games. So once you dig into them, many things are coming from the rules. So that's really complex. So just playing the quest and suddenly you find something. That's the current design. Without this, it's probably lack of users' experience, I think, in the eventually. So suddenly, for example, just like the color bars girl, I just wondering who she is. That's a start scene. I'm not sure who she is. Sorry, Momodi. I think she is really my close friend. I think the number of characters is increasing, so I'm looking forward to the MMO. We still have the users, but it's new to me to have close friends like this character. It's really new experience and interesting point to me. I myself try to make really have a sense of. I shared some thoughts from FF14, but this time concept is to share some thoughts with the players. The other FF cargoes, or for example the wearings, there are a number of costumes. So I think it's really another fun part of the games. So the Final Fantasy's theme park, that's the one of the concept of this game. I think that's what I'm playing. Yes, you're right. You are in search the theme. The Final Fantasy itself. Each player has each preference. For example, 7, I prefer 7, or I prefer 14. So, for example, the bring things once we cross the bridge, then you can have the scenes. Every time, for example, I really paying attention to the timing of the word is coming as a creator. So because the Final Fantasy is really a long, ancient legend version, so series. So that's why, because this time it's a platform to the many players or historical players are gathering. So that's why I have many functions to let them enjoy, regardless of the timing of the series. So when I hear the voice, when I hear the music of the RPG sound, games, music, that's really fascinating for me. So I really want to listen to what they are talking. So can we have another sections, part 2?
Let's move on to the next topic about the Final Fantasy XVI. Sakaguchi-san, I know that you only have the trailer so far, but I want to ask you about the first impression. That's a tricky question. Well, I think it's going to be a full-fledged fantasy. That's one direction I want to bring it to. The scenario is quite hard. I want to make it, I want to deep dive into the humanity. That is my expectation, but I also know that is going to be very intense work that I have to take on. So I think it's quite hardcore this time. Have you already finished the scenario? Yes, it's been completed. So Ryoko-san said that he wants to write his scenario. I want to write the scenario too. So we got too excited. So I asked him, just let me write a small quest. Probably with a different taste. So there's a quest called Side, which is under development now and closing to completion. Models are almost complete, and we just have to brush up some of the quality a bit. So can you tell me how long you need, how long you have to complete the production? I cannot tell you, my company will kill me, but a small number of people are working on it, and we are working on the scenarios first. And we don't want to stop the creation of scenario as time goes by, because that is going to cost a lot of money. So we put priority on scenario. Then we are going to divide the scenes. So that's the process of production. And the total production period is quite long. But until we decide what exactly to do, we're not going to increase manpower. Well, I think eventually that way is going to enable something better. And this time we kind of swing towards action. And in the beginning, in the initial phase, we scrapped a lot of things that we thought is not going to go well. So we tried many different things. Well, I think if we ask Sakaguchi-san to write a quest, it's going to be quite interesting. But you don't need to be competitive on that. But 14, I think there is some chance for you. It's going to continue. For 14, Matsuno-san is doing it, right? So I don't want to compete with Matsuno-san. It's so much work. And I don't think I can win him in terms of scenario. I also don't think I can win Yoko-san. He's also very unique. And Matsuno-san, I don't want to compete with him anyway. In the world of Final Fantasy XIV, I asked Matsuno-san to give me some money. How much did he pay you? Well, I was told that I gave too much. But you know, he's a legend, so he gave me 1 million. 1 million gil. Because I wanted to buy something there. So now I'm quite rich now in the game. Yeah, some players are like making money in the games, and some people are just into battles and they are really poor. But anyway, I'm going to enjoy the game. And if when I finish my work in the real world, I really would like to play the game with you together. Yeah, we're really busy about the next semester. I really want to jumpstart on playing the games, but yes, please put priority on your work first. Well, thank you very much for all the talk. You're really showing us the appeal of RPG, and especially Sawaguchi-san, you have been engaged with RPG for such a long time. So why does that attract you so much? Can you tell us more about it? So if you think about it, what can you tell us? Well, yeah, I understand that's today's theme, that's today's topic. So I thought about it a bit, but well, when I was a kid, I really like imagine things. I have a lot of fantasies, and I wanted to, I was able to materialize them in games. And I started with adventure games in PC, and it really made me happy. And because these are fantasies, so the worldview, the world and the rules and characters, I imagine, I make up all of them, and also the vehicles in the world, and it's really fun to create those things. And there's another factor, is that the staff, they surprise me. They add something more to the games. That teamwork is incredible. So of course they are working for the work, but it is a work for themselves too. But I also feel that they are doing that for me, and I'm really, really grateful of my team. Like, thank you for giving me such a incredible idea, and that makes the experience even more fun. And Sakaguchi-san, you said before that it is really important to have a good teamwork. Yes. And Fantasian, I played it and I thought if I feel the humanity in it, I feel the ego, I feel the, what they want to create was really incorporated in the game. And I thought that is the very game of Sakaguchi-san. Yes, the staff members are very passionate about the game, and I think you can feel that through the game. And I love that too. I love their enthusiasm. So that enthusiasm is still embedded in your company. So Takahiroshi-san, I sometimes work with him. When Sakaguchi-san calls for his team, I can feel that the whole team got so motivated and mobilized and put everything out to create a good game. So Yoshida-san, after Dragon Quest X, you have been engaged in RPG. So what is your thought around the appeal and the potential of RPG? Well, I started with action games, and then I moved on to shooting games. So that is my history. And the Dragon Quest and the Final Fantasy, I played those games when I was an elementary school boy, and I also liked writing stories. And when I was a student, I loved reading Lord of the Rings, and I was a kind of peculiar kid. And one day I realized that games can be really expressive. That's what I felt when I played the Dragon Quest and the Final Fantasy. So I thought I want to do that too. And then after I entered the game industry, I started to aim for that. And I met some really great people in this industry, and I was so impressed. So in RPG, the stories are being created by the team, and the team have a conversation around it, and you can also experience that. Well, films, you can have the similar thing from the films, but you cannot get into the world. But in an RPG, can go into the world and you can create the story, you can drive the story forward. So yeah, games, of course, they are interactive, especially contemporary RPGs. They are evolving and they become more diversified, not only single player or MMO. Some are prone to be action, and the players can get into the character and experience the growth together. And I think that people are also feeling the joy from leveling up and making their character stronger. I think RPG is evolving. And what do you guys think? In Fantasia, Hayashi-san, I was really happy that when the skill tree opens, yeah, that's fantastic. That's a fantastic moment. I think that is one thing. Something used to be systematic. Something systematic, the story, the algorithm, but with some triggers, the story will suddenly open up, and suddenly when your skills go up, when you acquire some tools, you feel something explosive. I know that a lot of users are streaming on YouTube, etc. And RPG, you cannot customize it, but it also gives you a sense of joy of creation. And I think that is the root cause for RPG being so popular and powerful. I think nowadays it is difficult to define RPG. So like, how should we call Final Fantasy XVI? Like, to be exaggerative, RPG is something that you can experience growth. But in Fantasian, well, you just mentioned the skill tree. The sense of something opening up, we have something similar here. You know, something expands rapidly. I think we are having a really good discussion here. I heard something new. You know, that's the point of discussion, right? Yeah, so to be the character and experience the growth in 14, I think there are two patterns, two ways of enjoying it. One is to have a complete character and you play this character as a third person, or if you can customize the growth of the character, I think there is more room to play. Well, in the Warriors of Light, even as it's an MMO, but you feel that you're the chosen one as a warrior of light. So it makes you think that maybe I am the strongest, I'm the most powerful warrior of light in this game, and that's a really good feeling. I learned a lot from Sakaguchi-san's games. When I was playing the games, I feel that I'm the protagonist, I'm the hero, I'm the most powerful one. And in the Sangoku version, in the initial part, you know, my people sent me out, and I think that you were really particular about that scene to engage the players in the game. Yeah, Matsuno-san contributed a lot to that. I recently learned the G-pose command. by the way, that I want you, when you take a picture. But there's a story, and then in the game, you have connections with the character, and you also project your emotions into the character. So RPGs, the beauty of RPG is really about its story. So sometimes it's a MMO or single play. Yeah, I agree with you. To sympathize with the character, I think that is a feature of RPG. And down the road, what do you think is the potential for RPG? What is the future of RPG? I don't think it's going to go away. I think it has something immortal, but how do you want to expand it? What kind of things do you want to create in the future? So, for example, the Facebook, for example, it means AR or other features coming from the Apple, for example, the eyeglasses. So sometimes you can have a character like Minion. I hope it can go up in the battlefield. For example, you can find the characters while we are having eyeglasses. Then I can find other characters in the playfield. That's I think the layers of the RPG and the real world. That's a combination with the AR and RPG that can be expanding and also can be another way for the possibilities for the RPG, I think. Yeah, they are researching about it, the possibilities of make it. I think it's a good combination between the AR and RPG. I'm looking forward to it. I want to ride on the chocobo. It might be difficult, but my demos, I want to walk with it in the future, in the battlefield, in the games. While I'm creating, I sense that sometimes it's really hard for me to create the RPG because the graphic resources cost is continuously rising. It's surging, actually. Yeah, it's a really high graphics, so that's why. And also, as for the real assessment, we cannot betray the users and we cannot compromise the quality of it. So without these graphics, or if we compromise the cost, we cannot have any scenarios to accommodate. So in that sense, probably the Final Fantasy's fan wants to see is not the one that's one field, one story. So probably they want to have the world expanding. So how can we make it? How can we make it into reality? So now I need to prioritize what I should focus on and what point I shouldn't focus on or compromise. Sometimes some points are really time consuming. The other is probably it's not achievable because of the lack of the capabilities or limited time. So in that sense, we try, if we want to envisage the game field in the display, we need to think our prioritization about to achieve it. So now, so PS6 or 7, I think we're gonna have it in the future. Probably as for the creators, it's really hard time, right? So in that sense, probably the new facilities are coming, and we probably don't care much about the specs, but also other fields that why I should focus on is the tech field. How can we make it? That's what I'm always thinking when I create my games. So for example, automatic calculation system can make some word, but that should not be interesting to them players, right? Yeah, we can create some scenarios
but probably we cannot accommodate it. So of course, most of the life events in our real life, we don't have the event like the games, right? So in that sense, for example, this play I played Fantasian, and I thought one diorama, each diorama has each world, the view of the world. And then we players can sense the view of the world of each scenario or each diorama. Because you created the diorama, then we players can find the sense of living from the diorama, I think. That's the nature of the diorama, I think. But once we create that kind of diorama with the state-of-the-art technology, can we really feel the sense of that, the same thing like we are having from the current version? Yeah, we actually make it so meticulously. So some users are saying, I want to play. Why not see in the future? I really want this opportunity to let the users play those games. Sorry, it's almost time. Oh yeah, so what I want to say that if we cannot work out the scenario for scenario 16, then if I cannot work on the scenario of 16, then I want to design the skin for Final Fantasy XIV, because our scenario, I don't want to compete with Matsuno-san, but I can showcase my capability on skin designs. Yeah, anything. I also want to get involved. Well, I feel something is starting from this moment. Well, I know that the audience wants us to extend the program, but we will have other occasions for you in near future, and we're running out of time for this program. And before we wrap up, I want to have last message from some message from Yoshida-san and Sakaguchi-san. So Yoshida-san, over to you. Well, I don't need so much time for the announcement. For 14, until level 60, up to level 60, you can play it free of charge. And Sakaguchi-san has just started playing the game. So if you want to have the same progress as Sakaguchi-san, please jumpstart it. And now I'm working on Mistwalker, the latest one, which is going to be released on November the 23rd, I hope. I'm really getting exhausted, but I'm doing my best. I really look forward to it as a fan. And okay, November, I will need to work hard to make my character stronger. So Sakaguchi-san, your turn for your announcement. Well, I just finished the Fantasian and I updated it. So now I can have a break. And for some time, I can immerse myself into the world of Final Fantasy XIV. So I was thinking to retire with the latest title, but now I'm also coming up with new ideas. So maybe I can create something else. And by that time, I will give you more information then. But we really look forward to your new works, so please do make them. But before that, I want to aim to become level 50 first. Oh, thank you for the great time. And I'm so sorry that it's only 15 minutes, but I hope that we will have the same opportunity soon. And I hope that our audience will stay tuned for us. And we saw some people say in the comments that thank you for the great talk, and also thank you for coming
early in the morning. So this was Famitsu presence on the appeal and the potential of RPG by Yoshida-san and Sakaguchi-san's special talk. Thank you very much for your participation, and thank you for the audience for watching, and please enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you and goodbye.
主催者番組をお送りいたしました。この後10時よりハピネットの番組が始まります。東京ゲームショウ2021オンライン、引き続きお楽しみください。